Go to sleep, Arnold. All right, so I thought I'd try a call-in show. So you have a number, and when you call that number, you have to enter that access code. And then once you enter that access code, I should be able to hear you here. And we can talk about anything. So let's see who wants to be brave enough to call the number. I mean, a lot of things happen in the weekend, so I thought maybe we can talk about it in a fun way. Instead of me just doing a monologue against the phone, I thought that you can call in and I'll put you live. And then you can ask me whatever you want. So I'm looking at the screen. So far, no one has called. And the number is 641-715-0873. And then once you get on the line, put in the code 805890. Have I been lifting? I don't know. So until someone calls, I don't see anyone calling yet. I don't know if this thing is working. So before we get into that, I just wanted to go over if you've been living under a rock, and some of you have, some of you are not on Twitter constantly like me. You see that over the weekend, it was revealed to us that we're in a war. We're in a war that we thought was fun, was trolling, was shitposting, but it's a war. And the only reason that it didn't seem like a war is because we weren't getting our ass kicked that badly. I mean, Berkeley and some other places did show that things were a little bit intense against us, since we see how the city governments align with the antifags. Okay, and we have a call. Let's see, I don't even know how to use this. Okay. All right, caller, you're on the air.
Roosh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good.
What's going on? All right, so I don't know. First time I ever called you, first time really ever. So just bear with me while I figure this out. But this is about the Unite the Right thing yesterday, right?
Yes.
So, man, you know, I was driving home today and I was watching Sargon talk about this, and I don't know. It's like a multi-dimensional setup from everybody to like win. It's like setting Antifa there helps the politicians, putting the right on in danger helps the politicians. It's like every angle they've planned it out. And do you see
how we have enemies everywhere? It's basically us against everybody else. Police, city government, state government, federal government.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's like the more I watch, the more I this, the more I that. It just, every freaking corner is compromised. Every single corner, you know?
So now how do you feel knowing this? How do you feel that basically every institution in the country you are in is against you and what you stand for, and how you have such a mountain to climb? Because I don't know if you saw it, but before I got on, the permit holder of the Unite the Right rally tried to do a press conference. And during the press conference, he was punched in the face, and there were cops everywhere. So now, I mean, I kind of knew this. I kind of knew it was us against the world, but we have really visceral confirmation of it now. And it sounds like from the tone of your voice, you can feel it.
Yeah, like it just, look, I'm a Jewish guy, but I'm not really religious. My mother's Mexican Jewish, you know, like
that's okay to be Jewish.
Yeah, but like, and it's weird because like the last year, you know, it pisses me off because look, I'm a working class Jewish guy. My family came from Jews from Afghanistan. They came to Israel. You know, they fucking busted their ass to get the fuck out of that shithole, and we are by no means wealthy. And then I'm seeing, you know, all these people like trash Jews and stuff. And when I started looking on poll and things like that, and then you see all these top elite people are scum fucking Jews that piss me off because it makes good Jewish people fucking look like shit, you know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time when the alt-right says this about the Jew this and Jew that, I don't think they're talking about the average Jews. I don't think they're talking about the ones who are trying to make a living, who are doing the most that they can do. They're really talking about the top ones who live in Washington, New York, who control Hollywood.
And like, you know, yeah, dude, and it's like, and, you know, I can't get mad at people for doing the whatever you call it, the J question, where everyone gets shit on.
Right.
It's like they have a freaking right, because I'm starting to have that J question. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, like.
So then let me ask you this. So now that you're getting red pill to the max, what are you going to do? What is your instinct? You know, barring a criminal intent of hurting other people. I mean, what are you going to do?
All right, so this is the dilemma, and this is what I kind of wanted to get into. It's like, okay, so you're watching all these strategies that the left and just every angle, the corrupt, everyone, you know, deep state, all of it, they're all involved in, right? So what, like, man, it's so hard. It's like, okay, do I go, you know, I'm in my apartment, I'm looking above, you know, the street. Do I take my AR and lock and load and get ready and shoot who? They'll kill me in 2 seconds, and that's it. It's over, you know? And just watching the alt-right or whatever, UniteTheRight, there's so much division going on. It's already compromised. There's no way this will be organized to take over anything. So it's almost like man, it's weird. I have two visions. In the big picture, I feel like it's a losing war, like.
That would be taking the black pill, right? I mean, taking the black pill is when you're thinking, oh, we're up against a force that we can't beat, a force of evil that we can't beat. You have to be a little bit careful.
Right, but the trick is like, okay, you know, the victors have to kill. So, but then we don't want to be the communists. You know, it's like, do we have to? It's so weird. It's like we're handcuffed because the right are moral people. They have morals. At least they, you know, at least some of, you know, there's some structure. But do we get rid of all that to win the battle and kill everybody, and then we're them?
Yeah,
and then how do we get back from that?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. I think everyone is gonna have to do some soul searching on how far they're willing to go. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Let me go to the next next call. All right, man.
Thank you, Rudy.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, we got one more caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Roosh, what's going on?
What's up, man? Good.
Good to talk to you, buddy. I just had a question about how to emotionally deal with what's going on in terms of, like, I watch the live periscopes and I watch what's really going on in the streets at these protests, but what the mainstream media seems to do is take 3 or 4 out of context clips and keep showing them over and over and form this narrative that every time I see this on TV over and over, I get really upset about it, and I was just wondering how you would handle that.
See, the problem with the media is twofold. First, they're going to lie, and they're not going to stop. They're never going to stop. I mean, even if there wasn't an idiot with a Nazi flag on Saturday, they would pay someone to put them there. Second thing is, they're just going to lie. So you have, they're not going to stop, and they're going to lie. You have to start treating them as an enemy of the state that must be shut down. Because, I mean, how can you proceed with a nation where you're trying to spread the truth, but you have these massive institutions constantly lying and constantly spreading fake news? That's one of the problems that Trump tried to address by going after the media, going after CNN. But you see, the root is deep. You know, the root goes very deep.
I see it as a big problem because they can reach 90 million people, at the flick of a switch, whereas the alternative media can only reach, a couple their 100,000 followers.
Yeah, and
so how do you overcome that?
As good as we can get with the memes and as good as we can get with spreading the red pill, I don't think we're ever going to be able to get to the zombies. And there's a lot of them there. So unless you're willing to step over the normies to get to the victory that you want, I don't think there's any way to really be in the position where you have the majority of the population who sees the world in the truthful way that you see it. There's no way. So I think we're gonna have to start to give up on the notion that we can just shower the population with red pills from the air and then expect them to, just like we did, just like when you showed me the red pill, I took it, even though maybe it was a painful thing. But we have to accept now, and I think the elite already know this, that most of the population is probably dumb anyway. So let's just feed them exactly what they need to know and no more to ensure our power stays firm. So I think what you are asking is the impossible, because you want to red pill everyone, but you're not. So what you have to ask is, how can we move forward without having to red pill everybody?
Well, it's not about red pilling everyone as much as it is to at least bring in more people to our side.
But how many people do you need on your side that is stopping you from doing what you need right now? And are you sure that you want these people to come into your organization? Because, once you start talking about getting more people, getting crowds, you're starting to get into the sheep. You're starting to get into the average IQ people.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened this last weekend. You can't stop David Duke from showing up at a rally. But
he's an idiot, by the way. I think that guy is a total idiot.
People are branded Nazis.
I think that you're going to have to look at how did men of the past overthrow their corrupt governments? And a lot of the times, in some cases, it was by getting a majority of the population to go along. But if you look at the communists, what they did in Soviet Russia, there was something like less than 10% of the overall population, and they still won. So I think you may have to start to look outside of the scope of getting more people on board, doing rallies and public things. And I don't know, maybe going underground, maybe inserting your guys in key institutions and things such as that.
All right, thank you for taking
the call,
man. Buddy.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, so are you guys having a problem with the audio or something? Because I saw some messages saying that the audio is bad. Audio is horrible. No, man, see, look at this. Is this a Periscope problem? So, garbled. Okay, slightly laggy. Let me try something. Hold on. How does it sound now? Is the audio better now? Is it better or worse now? Twitter limited you when the guy said he's a Jew. Still not good. No, low. It's fine for me. Damn fucking thing. I think this is some kind of conspiracy that they're doing. Okay, so who else wants to call? Okay, we have another caller. Worse. Okay, latency. I don't know what to do with this shit. Okay, let's get the next. We have another gentleman caller. We got two actually, but let's take this one. All right, caller, you're live.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I'm in an Identity Europa.
Okay, cool.
Which played a pretty prominent role in the event. I think a issue going forward with the alt-right is separating themselves from the white nationalists 1.0 and the more refined version of white nationalism that has come through. And that was the issue at the event was, LARPers, people that who are more white nationalists 1.0, they're the ones that had the swastikas out. They're the ones that, that are causing optic problems for
So what are you going to do? Are you going to tell them, like, if you do an event next week and you see these guys with the Nazi flags, are you going to tell them to go away? You know, because if you do, then you're going to have to end up fighting them. You're going to have to fight them when they get angry at you. So unless you're willing to start a battle with them, I mean, you're going to have to find a way to discourage these guys from coming without sacrificing your own goals.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think it's about finding some sort of middle ground, because I mean the group's never going to reach the normal population or gain mainstream acceptance by having people that want to throw out swastika flags up.
And let me ask you this. If I do a meetup tomorrow and a lot of men show up, I guarantee you not a single man with a Nazi flag is going to show up. It's not because I'm blue pill or soft. I mean, you've seen some of the things I've written. So you have to ask, you know, I'm not saying it's your fault, but in our aim to grow our organizations, we sometimes are nice to people we shouldn't be nice to. And we kind of dog whistle to the Nazis that, you know, this group is not bad because we're on your side too. So unless you're willing to kind of change your message, these guys are going to keep showing up. Okay, caller. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask, or?
Well, I think that there was definitely a conspiracy.
By who?
The local government. The local government.
Okay,
and the
yeah.
government to shut down the right wing rally yesterday. And you know the government, they got what they wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear. I think we've seen in Berkeley that local governments are definitely on the same page, if not actively coordinating with the local Black Lives Matter and the anti-fags. So, I mean, that's pretty dang clear. So I think in any rally you do or your group does, you have to account for that. Like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do when you want to do a rally and you know off the bat before you even get there that these people are going to try to stop you, and the police who you think are on your side, they're not. They are not. They're on the side of getting a paycheck. They're on the side of getting the city government's money so they can go home and drive their SUV and feed their wife and kids. So I think what you guys have to do is wake up to the fact that you don't have any friends anywhere. So I think you're going to have to change tactics of not doing these public spectacles as much as maybe doing some more underground things that have an actual impact instead of dominating the news cycle.
Yeah, and there's definitely discussion within the organization that I'm in about going about that, about doing more small local activism as opposed to these large rallies for a while.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you for the call and good luck.
Thank you, and keep up the great work.
All right, let's go to another caller. We got audio is fine now, huh? Okay, good. So whenever you hear that beep, that means someone is like calling or something. I don't know. This is the first time I've used this software. Okay. Oh, no, not that guy. Sorry. All right, caller, you are live on the air.
Yo, what up?
Yo.
What's good? What's cracking?
Oh, you know, just pretty damn entertained. Are you not entertained?
I've just opened your stream, so I think I've yet to see whether or not I'll be entertained. My question to you, Roosh, is if you cut a sandwich in half, do you have two halves of a sandwich or two sandwiches?
I think it depends on how you actually cut it. If you cut it in a diagonal way, I think you would say that that's two halves of the same sandwich. But if you cut it lengthwise, I'm going to go with two sandwiches.
Why does the cutting it diagonally, that depends then on the type of bread that you're using, wouldn't it? Because that you're kind of assuming that the shape, that the sandwich is in a certain shape.
Yeah, if you cut it in a diagonal way, no bread is diagonal in the wild, right? So that it's assuming it's coming. There's a partner to it. Say that again.
I mean, so if you baked a triangular piece of bread and made a sandwich out of that, would that be half of a sandwich?
Oh man, that is deep, dude. I don't know. I mean, I've been asked a lot of questions that are tough, but this one I think got me. Is there anything else, caller?
Well, it's okay. Yeah, are corn dog sandwiches?
All right, caller. I think you've wasted your opportunity. Have a good night. All right, let's go to another caller. Caller, you're now live.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So I'm just going to give my my input from the rally. I guess you would classify me as a bit of a alt-lighter.
Okay.
And but there was some friends that kind of check it out and see how it's going. A couple of things I noticed was on the outside, the counter-protesters, which is where I was viewing it at first, was very disorganized, very unruly, there was no unity in it. There was all just a lot of chaos and yelling and violence. And then I went in with one of the other groups toward the getting close to when the speaker was supposed to talk. And it's just the difference was striking. The camaraderie and the peacefulness it really struck me. And I know I found that the overall events of the day were very frustrating, of course, with the large, government trying to shut down speech and not allowing things to go on. But it just seems to me, with combination of the age of the people that I saw, a lot of young men, and the unity of the people I saw, even though they were just, a diverse group, like, National Socialists and, other people, but the unity that was there despite those differences, I think is really a sign of a growing movement that can't be stopped. I was just thinking about the guy that called in earlier who was kind of getting black-pilled, and I don't see this as something that's going away or something that's going to die down. I only see it growing, and as people like me who just from the outside observe and see which side seems to be the most right. I mean, even though I couldn't hear what the speaker's going to say because they shut everything down, just the striking difference between the chaos on the outside and the peace on the inside. I don't know.
Let me play the devil's advocate and say, okay, yeah, your movement is growing. The men who are a part of it outside of the weirdos, and every movement has its own, they seem to be well dressed, fit, healthy. Maybe they have a clear head on their shoulders. But if I'm going to play the devil's advocate, I would say, so what? Even all those crazy people, they are the opposite of us. They're mentally insane. But they're getting support from our government, from the media, from the universities. So even though you felt a connection with these people and saw eye to eye with them, your government doesn't care. They don't want that. They don't want healthy, organized men who can see reality for what it is. So what are you going to do about it if they're going to stop you at every single rally, every single event, even a press conference? They're not going to let you do anything. Instead, they're going to jam you all into these internet ghettos where you have to hide because Google's going to ban you, Twitter is going to ban you, everyone is.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I see things at. It's like I'm a big fan of Stefan Molyneux. He always talks a lot about how you have a war of words versus a war of violence. But as the words get shut down, the violence replaces it because that becomes the only outlet that people have. If you can't express your ideas verbally, then you end up expressing your ideas physically, and I can definitely see things going that direction.
And the reason that I am asking this is not to black pill people, but to get your mind working on alternative ideas, to get your message and movement going. Because doing the rallies where you're announcing the time you're going to be there, they know how many of you are going to show up. They probably got you tapped anyway, so they know how you're going to get there. They know they're canceling your Airbnb rooms. I mean, that's kind of that's like waving a big flag. Hey guys, I'm going to be here. Please don't hurt us because we have a federal injunction to hold the rally. That's not going to work. So we have to start thinking of different ideas. It's just like me when I try to do you remember from early last year? I tried to do those happy hours, and I did happy hours, and I got shut down harshly, right? So announcing where you're going to be, when you're the underdog, and you have enemies on all sides, I think the tactics have to now change into something else.
I see your point. I think there's still value, though, in providing that large visual presence.
But at what cost? At what cost? Because look at what the cost is now. Now they pin the alt-right with a murder. And that murder, they're going to use that, or they're going to get so much money out of that. They're going to call you a terrorist group. Anytime you even share one shred of alt-right idea, they're going to say it's this idea that led to that poor, innocent girl getting mowed down. So you have to understand that, yes, I do see value in organizing in person, but not at a cost such as this. So I really think if you guys stick to the rally idea, I think your movement's going to end. I don't think you are going to grow because the media is kicking your butt here. And the torch at night thing, that was actually cool. But you guys took a big L on Saturday. I mean, I'm not saying that because I want you to lose, because if you lose, then I am doomed too. The only reason I haven't been attacked much in the past year is because the alt-right has been taking a lot of heat that would have come towards me. So I want you guys to do well. But I mean, if you're going to keep doing rallies where people linked to your group are now running over others, I don't think your movement's going to last long.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Thank you for calling. Woo, how is this going? Going well. And every time I'm talking, I'm leaning down because the computer microphone is here. So I want to make sure the caller can hear. Okay. All right, caller, you're now live.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, Roosh. Sam, so how's it going?
Oh, hey, man. How's it going? Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good to hear. Glad you've got this calling thing set up. Pretty neat, dude.
Okay. And if people online don't know, Sam Sayao is a senior member on the forum. He is really in tune. He was one of the first to see Donald Trump for who he was. So he is, in my opinion, he's a man that I want to listen carefully to.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just going to suggest about what to do, right? Because this is a big question, right? And I believe the answer is to avoid the coasts. We need to mobilize the right to get the fuck away from the coasts. They're way too corrupt. There's no more democracy. They've become one-party states in many of the coastal areas. But the interior of the country will be completely receptive to a masculine message and a message based on righteousness and love. Really. If you look at the county maps of where Trump won, it's pretty much mainly coastal areas, and then, you know, you've got like some black communities along the Mississippi, Hispanic communities, the south of Texas, and the potheads in Colorado. So other than that, it's all red. And I think, you know, if you were to do another speaking tour and you actually went to where the red districts are around the country, you'd probably get pretty large attendances, and all your rights would be upheld. You'd be free to speak. And the media might not even show up because they know they wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
Now, if say the alt-right does a rally in a red county, How important do you think it is to keep out those who want to show up with like a Nazi flag?
It's still important because fundamental, these are evil regimes. People have to have their priorities straight. And people also got to remember the red areas of the country are Christian, right? So they believe on mutual love for their neighbors. But the Nazi flag is not something that's very loving. It's not something that tells righteousness. It's what our grandfathers killed. So I don't know what the love with all Nazi imagery, but that stuff is basically a non-starter. Better things would be like ancient Greek symbolism, because I know people want to use Rome, but the Nazis basically hijacked Roman imagery and made it politically toxic. And it's tragic, but that's just the way it is. So they want to use like white symbols, use like anything other than that, because it's been corrupted. It's been corrupted by leftist Jews, and trying to fight that battle is a waste of time. Just get new symbols. It's not a big deal. And people who can't respect this just have to be asked to not participate. It's worth it in the long run because you'll gain far more followers. You're not silencing legitimate thought, because it's really, not only do they want to just be cool by showing like a Nazi image and say, I'm an edgelord, I'm a fucking badass, look at me, I'm using genocidal maniac symbols. But it's also, you still have to be intellectually honest and rigorous about what you stand for. So you can't have imagery that involves brutal oppression of people. Like if you were to have a communist flag, you see that at Antifa. You think that helps them? You think that's good optics? Do you think our fake news will show the Antifa marches? I saw the Antifa march in Boston right after Trump's election over the travel ban. They were tens of thousands of them. It was truly frightening. You couldn't even drive down the streets. And they were waving around communist flags and all this stuff. But I noticed on the fake news media, never did they show the extremists. They hid them, even though there were legions of them. Legions. So we got to remember that we're fighting an unfair fight. But if you can attempt to stay as moral as possible, right? You don't have to be perfect. But then we will win over the moderates in the long run. And I always think back to the American Revolution. John Adams said, 1/3 of us were patriots, 1/3 were loyalists, and 1/3 had no idea what was going on. It's the same thing now. Most people, you got 2/3 of the country each on a side, and then 1/3 caught in the middle, trying to figure out what to do and how not to get killed and how to keep their job, all stuff like that. They're just worried about survival.
Do you think?
So,
do you think the current crop of alt-right leaders that you've seen have what it takes to advance the dissident movement to the next stage, to do kind of what you are talking about?
I don't really see it. I see a lot of blowhards, a lot of people who get people whipped up with anger, but nothing about genuine love and sympathy for their neighbors and like plans for what kind of a country you would like to live in that's not dominated by leftist freaks. So I think the alt-right is rather reactionary, and while that's very important for analysis, it's not important for policy. There's no real platform for the alt-right. They don't have any coherent system of beliefs that will guide their future action. It's mostly just a hodgepodge of people who hate the status quo. And you feel sympathy for them. But when their only way to hate the status quo is by using symbols of defeated evil empires like Nazis or communists or whatever, these things will just make you look like a loser because you're using dead losers for your inspiration. It's not effective at converting more to your cause. And it also, it's way too easy for the fake news, who we know the enemy are. You know they're going to be there, so you have to anticipate their next moves. Like, it would be far better to march around with signs that just has letters on them. Not letters, not slogans, messages on them. So if they show the camera, they see this message will be misinterpreted by the fake news media. Something like that. This message here does not represent who we are. Something that throws people off and makes them read into the situation. They have to be way more clever. But it can be done. And I don't think that like alt-right leaders even give a shit. They only care about themselves. They don't care about...
One problem is that the people who are the leaders now got there from being massive egos who are really good at getting attention on the internet. This includes me too. I'm not a natural born leader, but whoever I am, I got a lot of attention. So what you see, the Richard Spencers, who I'm not trying to insult him, but he got to where he is because of the attention that he was able to get from the media mostly. So the problem I see is that a lot of these guys are being thrust into a leadership role where they may not be one, you know, and I don't want to get on Spencer too much. I don't mind the guy, admire his guts, but now he has a death on his, I mean, he did a rally where someone related vaguely to his group did something dumb and ran over someone else. If that was involved with me, if you or someone that I knew killed someone accidentally, I'm screwed. I mean, that is going to be baggy. I mean, he has, I don't think he understands, but how is he going to get a permit? How is he going to ever do an event again? I don't know how he can fix it, but I think this death is going to be used on him just like the pro-rape stuff is used on me. And he already has a lot of other baggage too with the Hail Trump stuff. So I don't know what he is going to do. I'm not insulting him. I don't blame him for anything wrong. But I don't know if he can take the movement, his movement anyway, to the next level.
Richard Spencer will serve as a instruction for future leaders of what not to do. You gotta, he completely underestimated the enemy, and he keeps doing it. I don't understand why. He needs to understand that if you go to hostile areas where the enemy outnumbers you like 10 to 1, like a place like Charlotte, what do you expect? You think you're going to keep control? Do you think you're going to be able to expect the people of that town to treat you fairly with law enforcement? So, it might be, something like he should have said to his followers, look, we're going to be martyrs tonight, so don't do anything to hurt them, because no matter what we do, it's going to be portrayed against us. Therefore, we need to be totally blameless, even though it's not fun, even though we might feel like we're being cucks. What we need to really remember is that it's not about us, it's about all the people watching us. And if we make the left look like violent animals who are trampling on our rights to free speech, then we will win here. Something like that. But I feel like Spencer has no strategy. I don't understand what the guy is doing. He should have, I think, like, after he got punched in the face, or the way the whole, after the whole salute thing blew up in his face, he needed to re-strategize, rethink his strategy.
I think there is always there's that problem of what got you here won't get you there. So he got to like the limelight in the media. So he's still he's doing the same thing that got him there. So I think that's going to be a problem. Right. It would be like me nonstop trying to do meetups and just getting whacked again and again and again. Yeah, I'm getting in the news. My Twitter follower count is going up, but I'm not really moving anything in a direction that's good. So that's why I stopped, because I knew if I kept doing it, it would just tire us out. And it'd be fun, maybe we get into some battles, but it wouldn't achieve anything. So, okay. Right. That said, let me get to the last caller, because it's getting late here. But if I do this again, I hope you call again.
Thanks, Roosh.
All right, bro. All right. We have a new caller. Caller, you are now live.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Kelly K. Wood, and so I appreciate what you're doing. I just don't think that anybody's getting the full picture here. What I what I saw was that you had people. What I saw that there were people that had a First Amendment right to.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah. So you were saying that you saw, so I'm guessing you were there in Charlottesville.
What I saw was that they had a permit, and though I don't agree with the white supremacy to march, but it's a First Amendment right, where the police came out and stopped them. And then I saw Black Lives Matter come out an hour later with no police presence, and then a car run over a bunch of people that had no permit, and nothing was ever said. And so I think we have to be fair on both sides in regards to, our First Amendment rights.
Yeah, but you are operating from a position of what is right and wrong, what is legal, what is just, what is fair. They are not. They don't care what your law is. They don't care about your permit. They don't care that you were obeying the law when you were rallying at that park. They don't care that you came with a message of where you just wanted to share your ideas. They don't care. Your government doesn't care. They're on the side of the leftists, and I'm sure you saw that. So, I mean, yes, you are right. You are completely right. They had a First Amendment right. They had a permit, a valid permit. They should have been allowed, but your government doesn't care. The people, most of the people, especially people who are on the left, they don't care. They just don't. So what do you say to them when you tell them rightly that they are wrong, that they are not fair, that what they did was silencing free speech? They're going to look at you and laugh and do it again.
Sure, but they will be used just like as a pawn, which is what they're being done to now, just like that particular instance that happened yesterday. It was very unfortunate. I wasn't there. I'm somewhere all the way across the country here, but in Minnesota. But I saw, like everybody else did, and I think the agenda from that left and that far left is being pushed to the point to where their legalities and what they do will be next, whether they realize that or not. This is about taking our freedoms away in this country, and that freedom of the First Amendment right and freedom of speech is what I see. And so that's I won't keep you long. I know you needed to get off there, but that was my whole point, and I just appreciate you doing it and being willing to stand in and listen to all the vulgarity of all these other, what I call idiots, coming against someone trying to just make a point.
I've been dealing with them for years and years, so I'm used to it now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. So we got time for one more caller. If you want to call in, the queue is now clear. The number is 641-715-0873. So that's, maybe I should write it down because that would be a bit easier than having to say it. So 641-715-0873, and the code is 805890. That's really easy, right? So let's see if we want to get one more caller. But as you can see, the sentiment is, me just trying to stimulate your brain to think of ideas outside of this rally stuff. I never really saw the value of it. I just didn't. I don't see the value of just meeting at a point to share ideas. And yeah, you get in the news, there is some value in that. But the cost, and now they want to sue them. And if you've ever been involved in a legal proceeding, that's a pain in the butt. It drains you. It's expensive. Whew. Okay, so I guess no one else wants to call. So if you have a question here, but everything else for me is good. I'm still working on my new book, and what country I'm in, I'd rather not say, but I'm in a country where they sell these. Huh? Yeah. So I have this guy. His name is Roger, and Arnold is sleeping. Arnold and Roger, they're best friends. All right, go ahead and play, guys. All right, we have another caller. Let's go and see what they want. Okay.
Go ahead and play, guys.
Hello, caller. You're now live.
Oh, we have another caller.
Oh, turn off the scope. Yeah.
Turn off what?
Turn off the scope because I hear a big echo.
Okay.
Okay, caller.
Is this rooshv?
This is him. Yes.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds different than on the computer.
Okay.
And you're talking about the Charlottesville rally?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the one thing I've noticed is seems like this is going to be a big blow to the right. Because, for example, when I checked my Facebook feed, all of my Facebook friends, or I should put it friends in air quotes, are all like condemning this rally. They think Trump is behind it. They think Putin is behind it. And not all of these are leftist. Some of them are Republican voting ones as well. So I don't know how this is going to affect the political right.
Well, I think I do agree that the right has to take a big L. They have to take a really big L based on what happened on Saturday because someone died. And whether that was an accident or not, they're going to use that death, man. They're never going to stop. They're going to say this is a domestic terrorist organization, even though Black Lives Matter is responsible for way more deaths, way more private and public property damage, assaults, rioting, cop killing. This one accident, it probably was a car accident, just a dummy who got scared when he was driving. They are going to use this. Yeah. They are so happy that this overweight woman died, even though I don't wish death upon her, and that's sad that she did die. But they're going to use her. I mean, they're going to really use it. So I think once you get a death on your scorecard, which the alt-right has now, and I'm not saying it's their fault, but it's on their scorecard anyway. I think you're going to have to change things up. You're not going to be able to proceed the way that you have been doing. But just because your Facebook friends are on top of it, I wouldn't be too concerned. I mean, if you remember in the run-up to Trump, they were against him too. I mean, so I wouldn't use that.
Very,
yeah, so
they were very anti-Trump. I think there was only 2 Trump supporters, and those were fairly lukewarm. You know, I'm voting for Trump because he's a Republican type.
Yeah, I wouldn't use them. But do you feel that you are in an unsafe space surrounded by liberals without being able to share your true thoughts?
Oh, the only way I could survive in my social circle is keeping my mouth shut. Like at my work, I'm pretty sure I am the only Trump voter there.
You know, I think you can do that for a few years or so, but that gets kind of tough. I mean, you have to wear a mask every day. There's going to be a point where you just say, I don't give a shit anymore, and you just stop. So, I mean, I guess that's one thing I take for granted, that I can say whatever I want. You know, I'm very close to exercising my limit of freedom of speech. But for you to have to hide, it sounds like you have a lot of friends that don't even know that say you voted for Trump or you harbor these beliefs. I think for you, that's going to catch up to you. And I'm not saying to dump your friends, but you may want to start reaching out to other people, because even in the most blue states, there's still some red guys, you know?
Some of these are like coworkers that I don't really are close to, but, you know, they're still at my work. I know 2 of my coworkers, right when Trump got elected, decided to organize a chapter of the resistance, and even they organized a women's march in the city I live in.
Yeah, and I don't want to know what city you live in, but if I do find out, I probably wouldn't want to go there. But good luck with that, and thank you for calling in.
Oh, okay, thanks,
Okay,
bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we got one more caller. Let's take this guy. Hello, caller. You're now live.
Hey, Roosh, it's me again. I called earlier. I was listening to your show, and I just wrote down some notes about the Democrats and Republicans. So the notes I wrote is that the left will always win the message because they're so stupid. They're like a hive mind. They'll just follow the leader, no ifs, ands, or buts whatsoever. Now the alt-right, the right, they will follow, but I think the problem is that they're too independent, and they'll always break off all the time, and then it just kills the bigger picture for the message to break through. It's almost like I wrote, they need a David Brock for the alt-right, but they're so independent it won't work, you know. And then it leads me to Trump has to just fix all this shit, and is Trump trustworthy to fix it himself? Like the alt-right needs to back off and let Trump just take care of it his way.
I don't think Trump can fix the cultural problems. I really don't. I think he's more of a business guy. That's why he's always talking about economy. And honestly, I'm like, I don't care about that because I don't have that problem, right? But a lot of Americans do. So he's trying to fix that job stuff. I think that's where his core competency is. But the cultural problems, I think he has a slight understanding, but not as deep as we need him to actually have it. So I think Trump is not that he's going to disappoint us when it comes time to the culture war, which is the only war that I think matters because it influences everything else. But I don't think he's going to just know what to do and be willing to fight it, because we have to keep in mind he's a boomer. You know, he probably does believe in a lot of the civil rights stuff and all that, but I just don't see him getting involved to help us. I really think we're on our own from everyone. So I think I remember yesterday I was watching Richard Spencer and his guards trying to argue with the cops that, hey, we're on your side, and the cops, they didn't care because they see as, you know, Richard Spencer and the alt-right as this alien group, geeks, or I don't know. So I think that, you know, where are you going to find some allies? And, you know, that I think it was a wake-up call over the weekend that we really don't have any, because even the conservatives who kind of could at least see some common strain with the alt-right, they are not, they don't want to have anything to do with it. So you're really, I think it's clear now that at least for the alt-right, and for better or worse, I'm their neighbor as part of the rooshv. You know, we're kind of alone here. And I mean, it's going to just take a few more viral episodes to really shut us down in a way that we cannot recover from.
Well, just one last thing. Now, on top of that, like, because, you know, like, I listen to Cernovich. I'm sometimes disappointed by him. I listen to Stefan. I listen to you. I listen to Vox Day. You know, a lot of people, just a large amount. And when it all comes crashing, it's like, you know, okay, so you think the cops and the military, they'll back us up. But then you look at the cops, and they don't give a fucking shit about us unless
they will not.
But even in, like, Texas, you know, like, you would think some cops are all about America and stuff, but then they just cut down to their mayor in 2 seconds. And then what about the military? Is Mattis going to, you know, walk in and do martial law and clean everything up? I mean, what is left, you know?
You know, don't confuse the fact that, yes, some men in the military read us, but that doesn't mean that they're going to choose us over a career, a paycheck, over a steady income. They're not. And I think, you know, maybe even me, I needed to wake up to that too. Yeah, I mean, they are sympathetic, but being sympathetic to someone and sacrificing everything for someone or a movement, that's a different story. So I think we've seen here that you know, all this Blue Lives Matters, we care about the police, at least from the alt-right. Hey,
doesn't mean anything.
You're not going to get any of that love back that you were giving. I'm not saying I wish police would be, you know, harmed. I'm sure there's a couple that are watching now, but you have to see it from you against the world. No one's going to back you up. Doesn't matter if you have a federal order granting your rally, and proceed from there. So it's not that I want to take the black pill as much as I want to understand the reality of how bad it really is, how you really have enemies everywhere, and you cannot assume, and you cannot foolhardily go into some engagement where the police are going to get you, the city government's going to get you, the Antifa is going to get you, the Black Lives Matter are going to get you, but you're holding on to a rally permit. That's not going to work anymore. All right?
Okay, and one last thing.
Okay.
Would it be wise, you know that saying, why the Japanese didn't invade America because behind every blade of grass is a rifle? Is that kind of the mindset where we have to be underground with a rifle at every corner, every centimeter of this country, but we have to be silent as well, only when shit goes down?
I'm not there yet. I think that's getting to a dangerous area. That's like getting into a code word is triggered on the NSA database.
I don't know, man.
But I mean, listen, I know a lot of guys who are doing that. They're stocking up on ammo and guns and all that. I don't have any guns. I'm living in an area where I can't even own one anyway. But I don't know. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think some guys are, and some guys are doing that. But unless you live in that kind of area, I don't know if that's going to be. It's going to be you against 1,000 zombies that are trying to kill you. So I don't know. But okay, caller, have a good night.
Thank you, Roosh.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
All right, let's take one more call. One more, no more. Hello, caller. You're now live.
Hey, Roosh.
Hello.
My question is kind of touching on some of your previous questions. Hello?
Yes.
What advice would you give for one of our tribe members in a deeply blue state trying to kick out other tribe members? It is quite, I'm sure you understand, it's quite lethal to express some of your opinions at times, right?
Yes.
In very deep blue state. So what advice would you give to me, other tribe members, and is it getting to a point that it's time to leave the U.S., that Trump is not going to save us?
Okay, so in case you did not hear him, the sound wasn't as good. He's living in a blue state, and he's thinking of what to do. I mean, if you can't create a bubble, if you can't find some like-minded guys in the blue state area you are in, then, I mean, unless you have something really tying you there, unless you have a career that can't be done anywhere else, a family, I mean, I want to advise moving as a last step because it's tough. It is hard. But if you've exhausted all other options, then I would probably move. But if you're in a blue state, I think hitting up like a gun club or like things that masculine men do, things that you're not going to find a liberal who drinks a gallon of soy every day. So that I would start looking at the really hyper masculine hobbies. That's where I would really start with. Gym too. Maybe there's like a boxing club, MMA club, things such as that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. We took a lot of calls. And we've been doing this for about 1 hour. So I think it went well. I think the actual system, it works. Now, when the caller comes in, can you actually hear them? I mean, because I'm putting them next to here. Could you hear them, or was there a problem? Take one more. The queue is clear, the fornicator, so there isn't any more. Okay, other than the garbled audio. All right, guys, it's getting kind of late here. I'm in Europe, so I'm gonna go to bed. This was an experiment for me, but I think after some kind of news event, I'll do it more often. And if you guys want to call, so I hope you all have a good night. And for those of you that did call, that was fun, and we'll talk next time.